My name is Amara Okafor, and I am the mother of Tochukwu, my only child, my only joy. Since the day his father died, it has been just the two of us against the world. People used to call us the small family that laughs together, because no matter how hard life was, we always found a way to smile. I sell provisions at Ogbete Market. I leave home early every morning, carrying my small cooler of pure water and biscuits to the roadside before I go to the main market. Life is not easy, but I thank God. What keeps me going is my son. I always tell myself, Amara, just suffer now. One day Tochukwu will make you proud. When he was small, he used to wait for me at the door every evening. The moment he saw me, he would run and shout, Mama, welcome. But now everything has changed. My boy hardly talks to me. He stays in his room most of the time. When I ask him about school, he just nods and says, fine. At first, I thought maybe he was just growing up, becoming a man. But then I started noticing things, strange drawings on his school books, a necklace with one funny-looking sign, and sometimes he would leave the house in the evening, saying he was going to group meeting. Group meeting? I didn't even know which group. One night I waited and waited. It was past 9 p.m. and he hadn't come home. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even pray well. I just kept walking up and down the room. When I finally heard him knock, I almost ran to open the door. But when I saw him, my heart broke. His eyes were red, and he smelled of something like burnt herbs. Tochukwu, where are you coming from? I asked. He hissed and said, Mama, please, leave me alone. You won't understand. I stood there, speechless. My own son talking to me like that. The next morning, I went to his school to see the principal. The woman looked at me with pity and said, Madam, your son is now part of a group in school. They call themselves the Brotherhood of Light. We are trying to stop them, but they are many. I felt weak. My legs almost failed me. Cult? In secondary school? My own son? When I got home that evening, I sat on the floor and cried. Not the kind of crying people do to get pity. This one came from deep inside. I kept asking myself, where did I go wrong? I gave him food. I gave him love. I prayed for him every night. So why would my boy join something evil? That night, I didn't sleep. I watched him from my doorway as he slept peacefully, his chest rising and falling. He looked so innocent, and I whispered, God, please don't let the devil take my child away from me. But deep down, something told me this was just the beginning. 3 weeks after I went to the school, I thought things were getting better. Chukwu started coming home earlier. He even helped me at the shop one Saturday and laughed a little when my friend Ngozi teased him about his beard. I told myself, thank you, God, my son is coming back. But peace in this life doesn't last long. It was on a Wednesday morning. The sun hadn't even fully come out when I heard a loud knock on my door. I opened it and saw 2 police officers standing there. My heart started beating fast. Are you Mrs. Amara Okafor? One of them asked. Yes. Is anything wrong? I said, my voice already shaking. They looked at each other before one said, Madam, we need you to come to the station. Your son has been arrested. For a moment, I didn't understand what they were saying. Arrested? My Tochukwu? For what? When we reached the station, I saw him sitting on a bench. His school uniform was dirty and his face was swollen. He wouldn't even look at me. I ran to him and held him. Tochukwu! What happened? Why are you here? Before he could speak, the police officer beside me said, Madam, your son and some boys from his school killed a student yesterday night. The boy's name is Chinedu. I fell to the ground. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there staring. My ears were ringing. It was like I was in another world. When I finally found my voice, I said, No, my son can never kill. You must be mistaken. The officer shook his head slowly. He already confessed, madam. I looked at Tochukwu, tears pouring down my face. Is it true? I asked. He turned away and whispered, I didn't mean to, Mama. That was the moment my heart broke. My knees became weak. Everything I had lived for suddenly felt empty. They allowed me to sit with him for a while. He told me that his cult brothers said they wanted to initiate him fully, and he couldn't refuse. They gave them something to drink, then took them to one empty classroom. There they tied Chinedu and told Tochukwu to prove his loyalty. He said he refused at first, but one of the boys used a stick on him until he joined them. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. After that day, people started avoiding me. At the market, some women would stop talking the moment I walked in. Even at church, I could feel their eyes burning into my back. My landlord came one evening and said, "Madam Amara, you should start looking for another place. People are talking." But I didn't care anymore. The only thing I wanted was my son. Every morning, I went to the station with food. Sometimes they allowed me to see him, sometimes they didn't. Then one Sunday evening, as I was preparing dinner, someone banged on my door again. This time it was louder, faster. I rushed to open it, and there he was. Tochukwu, my son, standing there breathing heavily, his clothes torn and his face covered in dust. "Mama," he said, his voice shaking, "I escaped. Please don't let them find me." I froze. The spoon dropped from my hand. My whole body began to shake. My son had just escaped from police custody. That was the night my soul began to bleed. The moment Tochukwu said those words, "Mama, I escaped," my whole body went cold. I didn't even know what to do. For a few seconds, I just stood there looking at him. His shirt was torn, his face had small cuts, and his eyes were wild, like someone running from death itself. I wanted to shout, but no sound came out. The only thing I could whisper was, "Tochukwu, what have you done?" He fell on his knees, holding my wrapper tightly. "Mama, please, I didn't kill him. I swear on Daddy's grave. They forced me. If I go back, they will kill me. Please don't hand me over. Please." Tears filled my eyes. I helped him stand and locked the door quickly. My heart was beating fast, like it wanted to jump out of my chest. That night, I hid him in the small store behind my house where I kept old buckets and my market goods. I gave him water and some bread. He sat on the floor, shaking. I looked at my son, my only child, and I saw both a boy and a stranger in him. When I went back inside, I sat on my bed and cried quietly. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I couldn't help it. How can a mother hand over her own child to the police? The same boy she carried in her womb, the same one who used to hold her hand to cross the road. All night, I didn't sleep. Every small sound made me jump. I kept thinking, what if someone saw him coming here? What if they come and arrest me too? In the morning, I cooked rice and sneaked some to him. He looked weak and tired. "Mama, thank you," he said softly. I touched his face and said, "Don't thank me, just pray. God must have a reason for all this." Later that day, my friend Gozi came to visit. "Amara," she said, "I heard your son escaped. The police are searching everywhere. They even came to the market this morning." I forced a smile and said, "En? I didn't hear anything, oh." But inside me, my heart was burning. That evening, the pastor from my church came around. He prayed for me and said, "Sister Amara, sometimes God tests our faith, but remember, covering sin brings more pain." His words cut through me like a knife. I couldn't even look him in the eyes. When night came, I went to check on Tochukwu again. He was sitting in the dark, whispering to himself. I sat beside him and held his hand. "Tochukwu, tell me the truth," I said. "Did you kill that boy?" He shook his head slowly, tears rolling down. "No, Mama, I didn't. I tried to stop them, but they said if I talk, they will kill you and me." When I heard that, my whole body started shaking again. "Oh God," I whispered. "What kind of life is this?" I looked at him, the same boy I carried for 9 months, the one who once cried when a lizard died, and I knew the truth. I could hide him from the police, but I could not hide him from the truth. Still, that night, when I heard footsteps passing outside, I held my breath and whispered, "God, please don't let them find my son yet." I wasn't ready to lose him, not again. For 3 days, I hid Tochukwu in that small store behind my house. I made sure nobody suspected anything. During the day, I acted normal, going to the market, greeting my neighbours, pretending everything was fine. But inside me, I was dying slowly. Every morning, I would wake up with my heart pounding. I would peep through the window to see if police vans were around. I stopped sleeping well, stopped eating well too. Each night, when the whole street went quiet, I would sneak to the back and take him food. He always sat in one corner, looking lost. The boy that used to be full of laughter was now empty, quiet and afraid. Sometimes he cried and said, "Mama, I don't want to die." I would hold him and whisper, "You won't die, my son. I'm here." But deep down, I wasn't sure if I was helping him or destroying both of us. The whole town was talking about the case. People said the police were angry because one of the suspects had escaped. They said whoever was hiding him would be treated like an accomplice. I started hearing whispers that the police would soon go house to house. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I sat on my bed and stared at the ceiling. My heart was heavy. I remembered how Tochukwu's father used to tell me, Amara, truth is like fire. You can't cover it with your hand, it will still burn you. Tears dropped from my eyes. I went to the store quietly and saw Tochukwu sleeping, his head resting on an old sack of gari. I sat beside him, touching his hair like I used to when he was small. My son, I said softly, do you remember when you were 8 and we were walking home under the rain? You slipped and hurt your leg and I carried you on my back all the way home. You kept saying, Mama, you're strong. He nodded weakly. I remember. I smiled sadly. That strength is all I have now, Tochukwu, but I don't know if I'm using it the right way. He looked at me with tired eyes. Mama, please don't let them take me. I turned away because my tears were already falling. I'm not letting anyone take you, my son, I said, but even as I said it, a small voice inside me whispered, you can't hide him forever. The next day, the police came to the street. They knocked on doors, asking questions. I stood by my window, watching them move closer, house by house. Sweat covered my whole body, even though it was morning. I ran to the back and told Tochukwu to stay silent. We both held our breath when the police passed. For a moment, I thought they would enter, but they didn't. When they left, I almost fainted from relief. That evening, I went to church alone. I didn't even go to the main service. I just sat at the back while the choir was practicing. My eyes were fixed on the cross. I told God, if I give him up, I'll lose him. But if I keep hiding him, I'll lose myself. What should I do? And right there, sitting under that small fan that made more noise than breeze, I heard it, a quiet voice inside me saying, the truth may hurt, but it also heals. When I got home that night, I knew what I had to do. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I sat on my bed, holding my wrapper tight around me. My mind was full. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw two faces, Tochukwu's face begging me to save him, and the face of that dead boy, Chinedu, lying cold in the police report. Morning came slowly. The sound of the rooster outside felt like drums in my head. I went to the back and met Tochukwu sitting quietly. His eyes were red from crying. He looked weak, like someone who had lost hope. Mama, he said softly, what are we going to do now? I wanted to lie and say, everything will be fine. But I couldn't. The truth was burning inside me. I sat beside him and took his hand. My son, I began, my voice shaking, I have been thinking. When your father died, I saw the man that drove that car. I saw his face clearly, but I kept quiet because I was afraid. Till today, I still see that man in my dreams. That silence has never left me. I thought I was protecting us, but I was only punishing myself. He looked at me, confused. I continued, hiding you now? It feels like I am repeating that same mistake again. I know you are my son, and I love you more than my own life. But this time, I must do what is right. He started shaking his head. Mama, please, please don't take me back there. Tears filled my eyes. I pulled him close and hugged him tightly. I would give anything to change this, Tochukwu. But you must face it. If you run from truth, it will keep chasing you. He cried in my arms for a long time. When morning light entered through the cracks of the store door, I wiped my face and said, get dressed, my son. We're going to the station. The walk to the police station was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. People were looking at us, whispering, pointing fingers. My legs were shaking, but I didn't stop. When we reached the gate, Tochukwu stopped walking. I turned to him, held his hand and said, whatever happens next, I will still be your mother. Then I walked with him inside. The policemen were surprised. One of them said, Madam, you brought him back? I nodded. Yes, he came home, and I brought him. They took him away gently. He didn't look back, but I saw him wipe his face with the back of his hand. That was the last time I saw his tears. Weeks passed. The case continued. The police found the other boys and the cult group scattered. The school changed rules, and the story spread all over town. Some people said I was wicked. Others called me strong, but I didn't care what anyone said. Every Sunday I went to visit my son with food and water. Sometimes he smiled, sometimes he just sat quietly. One day he gave me a small letter. I opened it that night. His handwriting was rough, but the words were clear. Open quote, Mama, thank you for not hiding me. You didn't hand me over to destroy me. You handed me over to save me. Now I understand your choice. Close quote. I pressed that letter to my chest and cried again. Not because of pain this time, but because of peace. Today, when I look at his empty bed in our small room, I don't see shame. I see hope. I see a mother who did what was hard, but right. And that is how I learned that love is not just about holding on. Sometimes love means letting go, even when it breaks your heart.